Okay. So y'all want to talk about Dave Chapelle, eh? Okay. So, I mean, look, I assume everybody already knows my issues with Dave Chapelle. If you didn't watch my video, then I suppose I can explain it again here. Doomer Politics in his video talks about how you shouldn't make jokes if they're going to offend people, and that it's kind of messed up that he knows that his jokes are offending people, yet chooses to make those jokes anyways. And like, nobody cares if your jokes offend people. Nobody cares about that. That's not a thing. Nobody ever thinks like, hey, I'm not going to tell this joke because someone somewhere could get offended. No, we don't do that. Nobody does that. Like, especially not comedians. Nobody does that. There is a difference, though, when you are adding to bigotry, right? So if I make a joke about black people that's like funny because it's just so true, or like, it's like a funny characteristic, or I'm making fun of myself sounding racist, right? So like you guys know I have I never put out the video, so maybe you guys don't know. I never posted it. Okay. So there was a while back where I did a panel where I brought on a bunch of black people, and as though we were going to have like a debate panel, but then they all get here, they're all black, and then I'm like, hey guys, actually, I just brought you here to see if I could get the N-word pass from you. And they're like, what? I thought Destiny was going to be here. And I was like, no, Destiny's not coming. Actually, I really just want the N-word pass. That's why I brought you guys here. I just needed like a council of black people to approve me for the N-word pass. So what's up, Sassafras? And so, like, in that joke, like, I'm talking about how badly I want to be able to say the N-word, right? How, and we go, I like make some really like, what do you call it? Profiling-ish jokes. But it's not profiling. What am I thinking of? It's like, where you put a group of people like in a box. I keep thinking of profiling, but that's not the word that I'm looking for. It's not profiling. Freddie, where you at? What am I thinking of here? Stereotype. Thank you. Just in time. All right. So I was making some very stereotypical jokes in that video. Like, I am talking about them eating fried chicken, drinking like a Red Stripe, watermelon, rap. Like, I was going after all of the stereotypes on black people, talking about how I was born in West Philadelphia, born and raised, and that on the playground is where I spent most of my days. Like, I was just pulling them all out, right? That's like fairly racist to do. Like, yeah, it's like to act as though all black people are the same just because of the skin color, that I'm going to have these like expectations of what it is that they like, or what it is that they do, or what it is that they act like, or any of these things. Yeah, that's pretty racist. Like, to just assume that just based on their skin color, pretty racist. But I did it anyways. Why did I do it anyways? Well, because the joke was not, black people be doing that stuff, yo. That's what they be doing. Black people, they be eating watermelon, man. Come on, you know what I'm saying. That wasn't the joke. The joke was, I'm racist. Like, the joke was me. The joke was that, like, I'm stupid. I'm ignorant. and I'm racist. I was the one who was funny. We're not laughing at the black people. We're laughing at the racist white person, right? That's the difference. So, with Dave Chapelle, his jokes, you're laughing at the trans people. And he even says at some point, like, I will not make any more jokes about you people until I know that we are laughing together. But he's not, like, there's no way that you are laughing with them in these jokes. Now, I like that in Doomer Politics video, he mentions, like, there was a good joke where, like, you know, Dave Chapelle in his other specials said something like, man, like, trans people being born in the wrong body, like, that's just a funny predicament to be stuck in, isn't it? Like, that's just a strange thing. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of funny. Like, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that one. That one wasn't so bad. But when his joke is like, haha, you're a dude and you have a penis, but you call yourself a woman, like, that's the whole joke. And that was the whole joke for like 3, 4, 5 different jokes, where it's like, but there's no joke there. You're literally, like, your entire joke is, haha, you're trans, right? If I do the same thing where I turn it around and I'm like, haha, you're black, like, that's the whole joke, because black people just be funny like that. Like, it's kind of messed up. That's not, that shows some sort of, like, bigotry on my part if I just think it's funny to be black, right? And that is what Dave Chapelle is doing, is he's saying, haha, just, you're trans. That's it. So, like, I feel as though it shows some bigotry on his part. Do I think he hates trans people? No, I don't think he hates trans people. And I think for the most part, he's trying to be as open-minded and as accepting as he possibly can be. But, like, I also think he literally accepts the term TERF as a good thing. Trans exclusionary radical feminist. He talks about how, like, these are actually men, like, they, you know, these are really men, they're just women at the same time. Like, there's not a way to look at this stuff and say, like, there's not bigotry just packed in there. Yeah, you're laughing at the trans people, black people, white people in his jokes. He gives everyone the chance to come together and laugh at each other / themselves. That's what his comedy is. I have never seen his comedy where you're laughing at black people. You can go find me some. I don't think that exists. I don't think he's, hey, Iko. You got here at the end of it. I'm done with the Dave Chapelle rant, but like, I don't think that he makes jokes like that about anybody else. And I've watched a lot of his stuff. I've watched his last 3 specials. They were all very good, especially the last one before this, where he's in, like, the Air Force jumper suit. That was great, dude. That one was so funny. It was so good. This one, like, it was not, and where people keep saying things like punching down, okay? I don't care about punching down. I don't care anything about that. Punching down, go ahead. Punch all the way down to the ground, no problem. I don't give a crap about that. What I care about is whether or not your punchline is them being themselves. Like, that person just is that person. Like, his jokes towards trans people is like saying, like, that person has black skin as the punchline. Not like they are so dark that you can't see them in a dimly lighted room. No. That's not the joke. The joke is their skin is black. That is a comparison to a lot of his jokes about trans people, where the joke is they call themselves a woman, but they have a penis. Right? I knew your father, and he was a lovely woman. Right? The joke there is like, calls himself a woman, but he's a dude because he has a penis, right? Like, it's hilarious, right? Like, that is the joke. That is the joke in and of itself. The joke is they are trans. Whereas he never makes the joke, they are black, therefore it's funny, right? That's not a thing. Honestly, it sucks that the LGBTQ has such trouble being part of society in the sense of being joked about like everyone else gets joked about. They don't, though. That's the thing. They don't. Like, I agree that there are insanely toxic trans people, LGBTQ people, gay people, all of it. Like, there are tons of them that are way too sensitive and get way too overly hyped over small things, right? My frame is triggering you? I like this frame. It's wood. Maybe it'll look better without the background. How about this? Okay. But again, like, he doesn't do this for anybody else. Nobody does this for anybody else. Chris Rock, his entire comedy sketch was about black people. But the joke was never, they are black, therefore it's funny. That was never the joke. Ever. Never, ever. Like, he never did that. That's just, like, there's a massive difference between the joke being, something that black people do, or the joke is your skin is black. And that's it. That's the end of it. Like, trans people, I make fun of trans people. I know people in Twitch politics who make fun of trans people. There's tons of jokes that I even mentioned a bunch of jokes that Dave Chapelle specifically told about trans people that were perfectly fine and perfectly acceptable. I told a bunch. I've named numerous jokes about trans people. So y'all can't sit there and act like I'm over here like, you can't tell jokes about trans people. Like, that's not the case. Those are not jokes about trans people like you make about everybody else. They're just not. And if you can't see this after everything that I just explained here, where the entire joke is you are trans, name one person making the joke, this is funny because you are black. Name one. Until you guys can name one, I think that you're being ridiculous. Like, truly. You can't... you can't tell me that those are things that are happening, because they're not. I watch comedy all the time. That's not happening. The joke is never, you're just black, therefore it's funny. But Chapelle makes the joke, you are trans, therefore it's funny. In and of itself. That's the end of it. Plenty of people say this is funny because you are white. It's not the fact that you are white that makes it funny, though. It's normally something stereotypical of a white person, right? So, like, when Dave Chapelle does an impression of a gay person, and he's talking about how they got their shirt tied around them, and I wouldn't be afraid of them because they look so feminine. Like, that's pretty funny. Like, right? That's the joke. Like, the joke is, like, yeah, like, they're kind of feminine. They're kind of girly. Like, he's not going to be scared of them. That's funny. If the joke was, you're a guy and you date other guys, well, that's no longer a joke. You're just saying you're gay and therefore it's funny. Like, what's the joke there? Like, there is no joke. And that's what he does with trans people. He doesn't do that with gay people. He doesn't do it with black people. He doesn't do it with white people. He doesn't do it with anybody else. He only does it with trans people, where the joke is you are trans, therefore it's funny. That's what he did over and over and over. Because trans people aren't trans in the sense black people are black. That's not, you realize that's not what I'm saying, right? You realize I didn't say that. Please, Urasama, please tell me you understand the difference between what you just said and what I've been saying this entire time. Please Oh my goodness. Please, please, please tell me you understand that there is a massive difference between what you just said and what I've been saying. We're not talking, like, nobody's saying that trans people are the same as black people, or being trans is the same as being a black person, or anything like that. Like, that this is nothing anywhere close. So give me the joke. Explain it to me. Anybody. You guys keep saying random stuff. You're wrong. You didn't watch the same thing as me. No, this isn't right. You guys aren't actually arguing against what I'm saying, though. You haven't actually critiqued anything that I am saying here. Whereas I am like breaking down the jokes and explaining what the difference is between a joke and bigotry, and you guys are just like, nope, or something not stereotypical. I haven't watched the special. I'm saying, like, things that are stereotypical can still be funny as long as the joke isn't you're black. That's not a joke. You're a Mexican. Ha ha ha! Mexican. Like, that's the joke. That's the punchline, right? That's not a joke. If the punchline is you're trans, ha ha ha, good one, then yeah, that's not a joke. That's just bigotry. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. You can make fun of all sorts of things about trans people. And I've mentioned numerous things here that Dave Chapelle has said about trans people that are hilarious, that other people on Twitter got super triggered about, but there wasn't a huge problem with. Like, there wasn't this massive problem with, like there is this time. This is totally different. Making fun of a person for being trans, more like making fun of a gangsta black person for being gangsta. Yes, exactly. Yes, that is the difference that is the distinction that I'm making. Yes. Well, no, I'm not saying making fun of a trans person is like making fun of a gangster black person for being gangster. No, it's not. It's making fun of a black person for being black. Comedy is subjective at times, but people obviously aren't enjoying, so maybe you are the bad guy. Well, no, people, it got really bad ratings. What are you talking about? Like, it got really bad ratings, Norla. Come on, give me a break. What are you talking about? Literally, the people on Netflix just walked out. It wasn't a funny show. Like, it just wasn't. It wasn't that funny. Outside of, like, the trans jokes and everything, like, it just wasn't a good show. But it was bigotry. Like, that's it. Like, we're talking about the difference. I'm saying you can find bigotry funny all you want. If that's who you are, then go ahead, dude. Do you. Be bigoted. That's cool. I'm explaining the difference between a joke that is not bigoted and a joke that is bigoted, right? If I'm a bigot and I don't like black people, hell yeah, I can just be like, haha, black people, that's funny. They're freaking black. That sucks for them, dude. Freaking, like, yeah, that's hilarious. If I'm bigoted, sure. Like, that's for sure a thing. But if I'm not, and I just see somebody where the entire joke is you're black, or the entire joke is you're gay, or the entire joke is you're trans, the joke is you are who you are, yeah, that's bigoted. And it would be the same if the joke was because you're white. Like, that is the punchline. It would be the same exact thing. People would freak out over this sort of stuff. But somehow, they twist it in their heads to where it is totally different for trans people, and it's not. You are not funny. I'm going to go watch a funny... I'm not supposed to be funny. This is not a comedy show. How about this? I will help you out here. Huge cope from Tom. Right. Like, this is what I'm talking about. You guys aren't disagreeing with anything that I'm saying. Calling it bigotry will just rob people of a chance to come together. What? This is what I'm talking about. You got, like, you're not disagreeing with me. You're just saying wrong over and over. Or when you try to say something, you're not actually saying anything analogous to what it is that I'm saying. You're not disagreeing. You just saying wrong, Tom, is not actually disagreeing. It's not actually making an argument against what I'm saying. Like, I can go outside and keep saying, like, nope, sky's not blue. And when people are like, well, why? Like, that's normally what we call blue, right? Like, nope, it's not blue. And they're like, well, but it's like, I can show you like a bunch of other things that we would call blue that are the same color as the sky. So what, like, we would call this blue then, right? Like, nope, not blue. Nope, wrong. Like, you only think you're disagreeing, Uru. You actually agree with Tom. True. See, Freddie figured it out, dude. Freddie figured it out. What did I miss? We're talking about the Chapelle Special and the difference between bigotry and non-bigotry. And I don't want to say the difference between bigotry and jokes, because jokes can be bigoted. That's fine. I'm just explaining why these jokes are bigoted. Like, I'm explaining the difference. And it over and over, the joke is they are trans, so I'm going to call the woman a man, and then it's going to be funny because they're trans. And so I'm just pointing out that they're trans by saying it's a woman and a man at the same time. And now it's funny because I pointed out that they're trans again. Haha, let's all laugh. Like, that's all you're doing. You're just pointing out that they're trans. Like I said, trans isn't a skin color. It's a way to go out and... Bro, seriously, my head's going to explode. I never said trans is a skin color. I'm not saying trans is a skin color. I'm talking about bigotry. I'm talking about bigotry, dude. I'm talking about bigotry. I'm truly going to lose my mind. I'm talking about bigotry. Like that. I'm going to write it on the screen for you guys, okay? I'm talking about bigotry. I'm not saying being trans is the same as a skin color. I'm saying that being bigoted towards somebody, being bigoted towards a black person, or being bigoted towards a trans person, I'm showing apt comparisons. I'm explaining that if the joke is you are this person, then that is bigotry. Like, if the entire joke is just that they are this, then yeah. We're not in the minority. Repost, you're literally comparing it to directly making fun of someone for their skin color. Yes. Yes. We're talking about bigotry. I also compared it to being gay. I also compared it to being Mexican. Being Mexican is not a skin color. Like, I compared it to lots of different things. I'm talking about bigotry. That's it. In general, bigotry. Like, I didn't only say skin colors. And then you're saying that's not what you're doing. I can't, dude. I'm sorry, I can't. If you don't understand, like, I can't keep explaining the same thing over and over. I don't know how well. Does anybody else know like how to explain this? I feel like I've explained it the only way that I know how to. I'm only making comparisons of bigotry. That's it. I made lots of types of comparisons. You are wrong, but it's all good. I'm not wrong. Like, this is a factual thing. I'm not, like, giving my opinion here. I'm just explaining it. Aiko believes that morals are real, but she's not a moral realist. I'm just kidding. We're not getting into this. You're doing such a good job of it too, B. Heller. Well done. You get me so good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I make girls cry sometimes. He is comparing or he's comparing it because skin color is the same of being bigotry to a trans person because it also physical feature and thus it is bigotry. Well, I'm glad I'm not talking to a wall.
They've created a pathological fear of a virus that should not be feared at this point by pretty much anybody other than people who are uniquely compromised, immunocompromised, or very, very elderly. Now that the vaccines are available, it's over, okay? If the vaccines are available and you choose to get a vaccine, you shouldn't be worried. If you choose not to get a vaccine, you're probably not getting vaccinated because you're not particularly worried. Okay, so we're done. But for certain segments of the population, the paranoia has set in, and the paranoia will not leave, and so you will get more mandates.
Why? I don't know. I just wish, if you want to be like right-leaning and not sound like a dumb, like engage with the broader talking points, right? Engage with the fact that like we can't have millions of people getting sick simultaneously because our healthcare system can't handle it. That's just not how these healthcare systems are built. Like, why not engage with the more like reasonable arguments rather than just like, well, only 1% will die.
You'll get more attempts to.
This is what everybody does. Like, this is I when I talk about how frustrated I am with the socialists in my comments, you know, getting all triggered about Hassan stuff. Like they have to strawman at the most like extreme degree ever in order to engage with me. Like, it's like if I said, hey guys, this is the difference between bigotry and and just like a regular joke that's not bigoted but still mentions trans people, and somebody left from here and said, well, Tom believes that you can't make jokes about trans people. Like, that is like such an extreme straw man to where it's obvious, like, you are choosing not to engage with what it is that I'm saying. Or if I say, hey, I think that if you get rich off of the backs of a bunch of workers that you choose not to pay, and then you go buy a $3 million house with that money while not allowing your workers to own the means of production, also while saying that, crap, Sass is here. I wasn't doing anything. Your make special exceptions for trans in jokes, correct? What? Do you purposely, like, do this? I don't make special exceptions for trans people. I said I would. I literally mentioned white people. I mentioned black people. I mentioned gay people. I mentioned a lot of different groups. It's not a special exception for trans people if I have the same exception for literally everybody. I mentioned Mexicans, like ethnicities, nationalities. Like, I mentioned lots of different types of identities that I still think this would apply to. So that's like the opposite of an exception when it applies to literally everybody. Was he bigoted towards white people and that's special, or no? I don't remember him mentioning white people. What did he say about white people? Tom meme. What Are you telling me to meme, or are you saying Tom meme? Like, okay. What did he say? What do you mean, okay? That's your answer? Are you saying Dave Chapelle makes anti-white jokes? Oh, is it in memes? Did you send it to me? Where is it? Oh, Tom memes. There we go. Hit the money on the ball. Nice. Oh, man. Where is this? Where is this going? Okay. Not really, JM. What? B. Heller, what the heck, dude? What did he say? Why are you going to ask me if something is anti-white if you're not going to tell me what it is you're talking about? It is. It's amazing. Well done. You don't even remember the special, brah. What do you mean I don't remember it? I literally just watched it today. He said it's not really anti-white. Oh. Did Dave Chapelle mention white people? Yeah. Yo, thought of a way to explain to you what I meant, Tom. I think you see trans people are trans before you see them as humans, and black people as human before you see them as black. I don't know if you'll get it, but that's essentially what I'm trying to say. Why do I apply the same rules to trans people that I apply to black people? Why do I apply the same rules that I apply to trans people to Mexicans? Why do I apply the same rules that I apply to trans people to gay people or to white people? Why do I apply the same rules that I apply to trans people to literally everybody? Why is it the same for trans people as literally everybody else, but you think I see them differently from everyone else? Dave Chapelle calls out almost every white or every race, every comedy special, to be fair. And he has a bigger white fan base, to be honest. Well, I mean, in order to be successful in America, you have to have a majority white fan base. Like, you can't do it with one subsection of a fan base at all. But yeah, like he makes lots of jokes about lots of different groups. He just doesn't essentialize the jokes. Like, the joke isn't the identity even in and of itself. Like, the joke isn't because you are this person, that's funny. It's like, normally there's a funny aspect to that person, or to the like, or to something that is stereotypical, or to something that like is typical of those people. Like, those are normally the jokes. But for trans people, he's saying the joke is funny because you are trans. The joke is their identity. That's the entire joke. Is because they identify as a trans person, this is now funny. But he doesn't do that with black people. He doesn't say, because this person's skin color is black, this is funny. He doesn't say, because this person's from Mexico, this is funny. He doesn't do this with anybody else. He only does it with trans people. He only says, because you are trans, that is now funny. And that's not like that. Essentializing the joke in that way is what makes it bigoted. Making the identity in and of itself the joke means that he thinks that just being that identity is funny. Made fun of Eminem for identifying as black, made fun of other people for identifying as trans. You realize there's a difference there, right? Eminem's not black. Identity and skin color are different. Kind of. I don't know why you keep telling me things are different that I'm not claiming. I never said identity and skin color are the same thing. But you can identify as a black person. Like, that is a thing. I identify as a white person because I look like a white person. But I'm Native American. But I identify as a white person. It is an identity, right? Like, it is a thing that you identify as, or it is a thing that other people identify you with. But again, none of the you still cannot give me a joke that he has ever made where the identity is the joke. Nobody can, because they don't exist. You can only do that when it comes to trans people. You said, I treat people this identity the same as people of this skin color. Right? So, again, making comparisons does not mean that they're the same thing. Again, when I compare black people to trans people, do you think I think all trans people are black people? Yes, because his jokes about white people aren't about you being white. The joke isn't that you're white. That's not the joke. I don't know why you keep doing this. You keep explaining things that are proving my point over and over and over. You haven't actually argued against what it is that I'm saying, and I don't know if I'm not explaining it well enough, but you are not understanding what I'm saying at all. When the trans person, like being trans, is the joke, that is what's funny. It's not some aspect to being trans. It is because they are trans, this is funny. That, or like, not because they are trans, the joke is funny. No, the joke is, haha, they are trans, right? Like, that's the joke. If I say, yeah, that guy's black, there's no like other information here. No other information, right? That's it. I just say, hey, that guy's black. If somebody over there starts laughing, they're like, oh my goodness, that guy is black. What? Oh my goodness. You'd be like, wait, what? Why is it funny that he's black? Like, that's not, that would seem pretty bigoted, right? Like, they think it's funny just because the dude's black. So it's the same as making fun of a black person for being gangsta by making fun of a gangster culture, right? What? I'm not understanding. So, okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Yes. Yeah, kind of, yes. So the difference for like gangsters is that like being a gangster is not some like inherent thing to you that that like you can't just change, right? So just like being trans or being black, like these are I'm blanking on the word again. I can't I'm too tired for this, but like these are qualities that you're just stuck with. You can't change it about yourself, right? Like a gay person can't change whether or not they're gay. A trans person can't change whether or not they're trans. A black person can't change whether or not they're black. White person can't change whether or not they're white. Like these things are all things that you cannot change about yourself. But you can change whether or not you're a gangster, right? So like making fun of somebody for being a gangster in like, and that is the joke, is that they are a gangster. I don't know what that joke would be, but that's not bigoted, because like that's not or I suppose it could be bigoted if you want to call it bigoted. Like it's discriminatory in some ways. Discrimination isn't necessarily bad, so it's perfectly fine if you want to call it discrimination in some way. But it's not some like inherent quality to you that you can't change. There's a massive difference when you're saying the joke is you as a person. You just existing is the joke. That, yes, like that is bigoted. It just is. I don't know any other ways to like keep explaining this. That like there and for you to keep going on and even saying like in Dog and Chicken's chat that like I don't think that you can make jokes about trans people. I've said like 10 different times he makes jokes about trans people that I think are funny. There are tons of jokes that he makes about trans people that I think are funny, and even some of them were in that special, and I've already named them. I already talked about them today and in the video earlier. I've already talked about tons of jokes that he's told about trans people that are funny. So there's no way you can just like, there's no way you just accidentally thought that I said you can't make fun of trans people. I don't think that you ever accidentally thought that. I think that you have to purposefully misunderstand what I say. You said something about it's sad that some people think that you can't make fun of trans people, but then you also said here that something about you don't understand why you can't make fun of trans people, or why we can't treat them like everybody else. That was like one of the arguments that you made a couple of times. Oh no, I legit wasn't referring to you in their chat. I was talking about the overall message I got from the Chapelle show. I guess it applies, but you weren't in mind. Well, how does it apply though? If I keep saying that you can make jokes about trans people, and you were like, I just like popped in and pulled them up on screen to like, I do this whenever they're live, as I like check in on them and like remind everybody that they exist. And I said like or I sorry, I was reading through the chat and you're like talking about, you know, I banned people, and then right after like saying something about me, said it's sad that some people think you can't make jokes about trans people. So I just made the assumption that you were talking about me, but you did say in my own chat, like that was one of the arguments that you made a couple of times against me was that I think that you can't make jokes about trans people, or that I treat them differently than everybody else, and I don't. They're the same. I've explained over and over, they're the same as literally everybody. I apply these standards to literally everybody. You banned Chicken's alt name. That was funny. It was like a long pause between those things. That's his alt name. So he's typing in his own chat. That's that's messed up. I will probably watch the special now. Was it mostly bigoted? Half and half. It was like, yeah, it was. There were, so it starts off like really good. Like I said in the video, like I didn't think it was that bad because I got like 10 minutes into it before I made that video. The farther you get into it, they literally could have just called it the trans stand-up show, and it would have made a lot of sense because you guys hear that? Because yeah, like at least like 75% of the jokes are about trans people. And some of them, I would say, like in general, the jokes just weren't good. Even the ones that aren't bigoted just aren't good jokes. But he, in a bunch of them, like I said, like some of them, the joke is like, you know, I knew your father and he was a great woman. Like that is the joke. Like the joke is like, haha, it's a man and a woman at the same time. Therefore it's funny, right? Like the joke just is being trans at that point. Like that is the whole joke, is just they are trans. Therefore it's funny. See, it is an issue that it was about trans. What? I thought the message was people are humans before they are their identity, and I didn't find it bigoted at all, which is why I'm defending it so much. He did say that, but that's not, I'm not talking about that part. That's a completely different, like that's completely separate from anything that I'm talking about. That joke was said in endearment to his dead trans friend who liked trans jokes. So I don't like using it as an example of bigotedness, to be honest. But I didn't talk about that one. I'm really getting frustrated because, like, everything that I bring up, you're not addressing anything that I'm saying. This is just like the Facebook post, dude. In the Facebook post, I'm specifically talking about the unemployment rate and the fact that there's a high labor shortage, and that the unemployment rate like is low, and that there's just not a lot of people out there looking for jobs. And all of a sudden, I got 3 or 4 people in there who are upset, and I don't know why. And none of them are like really disagreeing with anything that I said, and then they are even repeating the things that I said and be like, see, you're wrong. I'm like, what? That's literally in my post. I said that. I could only refer to that joke because you just talked about it. Right, but it's not like, that's like a 5-minute joke. I'm talking about one little spot in that joke, right? I know I didn't use that entire joke as an example of bigotry. It's like a 5-minute joke where there's like 20 different jokes inside of this 5-minute long story. And at the end of it, it's not really a joke. It's a story about him having a trans person who didn't get offended by his trans jokes. That wasn't a joke. That was just him telling a story about his trans friend who doesn't get offended by these. That's but in the story, there are a bunch of little jokes that he adds in there. And one of them is him saying, like, I knew your father. It's a trans woman. And he's saying, I knew your father, and he was a great woman. I requested stats of why you drew the conclusion that people can feed a family with one job and are leaving work because they are in awesome positions in life, and I'm still waiting for them. I didn't see that. Here. So we actually just got done going over a lot of this stuff, but so one of the things is that, what is it, more Americans have more money? How is it stated? Ah, dang it. Why does this keep going back to Google? Or back to Yahoo? During COVID-19, most Americans got ahead. None of this is what I was looking at. There was a specific like stat that was repeated over and over. Americans are saving more during the pandemic. Where's the... Yeah, I don't see it. If I take in isolation, I think jokes could be bigoted, but I'm a big intentions matter guy, and I think he brings the jokes together in a way that makes it good, makes it a good message rather than a bigoted one. Again, but that's you are conflating a bunch of different things. I'm not saying Dave Chapelle himself is a bigot or that he doesn't like trans people. That's not what I'm saying. If a lot of my jokes are about like how black people have high crime rates, or about how Jewish people run the world and want to get rid of white people, or if they're about how Mexicans are all coming to take our jobs, right? This is a different example from what I'm talking about before when it comes to like identities and stuff like that. But this is just an example about bigotry. But like when the examples themselves are, or sorry, when the jokes themselves are like these jokes that are used to hate on these other groups of people, then it's not a at that point, like, I can say like this person themselves probably does not hate these people, but they are furthering a bias towards those people anyways, right? So if like I keep making jokes about like white trash over and over, it would probably make it to where people are more likely to have some sort of bigotry towards white people and believe that they're all poor and crackheads and meth heads and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that those things are necessarily bad. I'm giving an example of like how a person cannot be bigoted but make jokes that are bigoted and further bigotry at the end. At the end, didn't he say he won't make those jokes anymore until they are laughing with him? Yes, he did. I'm saying, think his jokes are supposed to be used to make people of all types laugh together and have a human experience together. If he only did trans people jokes, I also wouldn't like it. It's not a good standard, as almost all stereotype jokes can be used to hurt people. I don't know what. I don't know what you were talking about, Freddie. If others use a joke to hurt people is not a good standard, in my opinion. Yeah, that's literally what my entire video was about with the Doomer politics thing. Or Doomer media now. That I don't think you can just say, like, well, don't make these jokes because it could hurt a lot of people's feelings, or it can be like it can have like negative effects on these groups of people. Like, now you're not allowed to make that joke. Like, I think that's ridiculous. I think trans people already laugh at themselves all the time. Dave needs to figure out why they aren't laughing with him now. I mean, look, again, it's mostly not going to be trans people who say these things, because it's like a weird position for them to be in to say those things. But I haven't heard any trans people say anything about the Dave Chapelle thing. It's literally everybody else. B. Heller, Dave Chapelle literally talks about how trans people in general think that he hates them, or they think that he's a transphobe, right? Like, he mentions it numerous times in his own special. I kind of see it the opposite way. I kind of think part of being an equal member of society is getting joked on by a comedian like him. Yeah, but we don't joke about anybody else that way, dude. I keep saying this. I can't keep going around in circles. He doesn't joke about other people that way. He just doesn't. He does not joke. Like, the joke is never, you're white, therefore it's funny. Like, that doesn't exist. He doesn't make those jokes about black people either. It just doesn't happen. I've watched him for a very long time. He doesn't make those jokes. If you want to be included, then you have to be included in the mockery. Sure, if you want to include them in treating them the way that we treat everybody else and making jokes the same way that we make jokes about everybody else, then fine. But you're not. You're changing the standards for them so that you can make different jokes about them that we don't make about anybody else. I disagree with you, Tom. He makes fun of people's identities all the time. I'm not saying you can't make fun of people's identities, dude. I'm not doing this anymore. You're not going to understand. I'm sorry. I'm probably just not saying it right, okay? I'm just going to leave it alone. I don't know why. I don't know why every time you like try to repeat what I said, it's something completely different than what I've said. I don't know how else to say it. Being white and being trans are not the same. See, yep. I don't know what. I literally never said that. I literally never said that. I never said anything like that. I don't know why. Like, do you not understand what a comparison is? Like, if I say, like, this green ball is a similar size to that red ball, are you going to come over and be like, Tom, green and red are different colors, bro? How do you not see this? They're different colors. Like, I didn't. I didn't say they were the same color. I was just comparing them to each other so that you could understand the sizes. You're like, yeah, but they're different colors, Tom. You don't seem to understand that. It's over text, Tom, and you're policing jokes like a mook. Like, policing jokes in general is not like a horrible thing. Like, it's just not. I would say, like, most of the time, it's not justified, but yeah, like, I think if I'm like over here making fun of someone's dead grandma while we're at the funeral, and they're like, dude, don't say that. I'm not gonna be like, hey, no police joking, buddy. Like, there's there's some jokes that are just bad. Like, you're not it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you need to edit the worst examples in context so we can understand better, or give timestamps. Okay. I don't, like, I've given the exact examples of like the specific one saying like, I knew your father, he was a great woman. Like, what is the joke in this? Tell me what is funny about this. Somebody explain what is funny about this without it being that they're a trans person. Like, them being trans can be part of the joke, right? Like, that can be part of the stereotype that makes it funny. That can be part of the characteristics that play a part in the joke. But in that joke, the joke is you are a woman and a man. That is the joke. You said the father woman joke was okay in context earlier. No, I wasn't. I was saying that as part of a 5-minute story, the Urusama was saying that that joke was told because the trans person wasn't offended by trans jokes. And I was saying, yes, like, that joke as a whole, or that story as a whole, was not bad. I'm talking about small parts of that story that were bad. Yeah, the whole joke is they are trans. Like, in that case, that specific joke, the joke is they are trans, therefore let's start laughing now. I literally asked what the joke was, and none of y'all can explain it. But like, outside of the joke is that they're trans. Like, you can't explain it past that. Nobody's disagreeing with what I'm saying at all. It seems like you say we can make jokes about trans without addressing their condition, which is different identity and biology. No, I didn't. All right, I'm not even going to keep repeating myself. I'm going to go back and play what I just said so you can hear it again. So you can hear I literally just said the opposite of that. Okay? We're just going to go back so you can hear it and hear me say literally the opposite of that. different identity. Offended by trans jokes. And I was saying, yes, like that. And okay. I don't like I've given the exact examples of like the specific one saying like I knew your father, he was a great woman. Like what is the joke in this? Tell me what is funny about this. Somebody explain what is funny about this without it being that they're a trans person. Like them being trans can be part of the joke, right? Boom. Them being trans can be part of the joke. Keep going, Tom. Like that can be part of the stereotype that makes it funny. That can be part of the stereotype that makes it funny. True. Preach. Can be part of the characteristics that play a part in the joke. Based. I love it. Literally the exact opposite of we can make jokes about trans without addressing their condition. I'm literally saying right there, you can, that like it can be part of it. It can be part of the joke. As long as just you're trans isn't the joke in and of itself. Just like we wouldn't make the joke, you're black, therefore it's funny, right? Nobody would do that. That's not a joke. Keep going? Okay. But in that joke, the joke is you are a woman and a man. That is the joke. You said the father woman joke was okay in context earlier. No, I wasn't. I was saying that as part of a 5-minute story, the Urusama was saying that that joke was told because the trans person wasn't offended by trans jokes. And I was saying, yes. Okay, but the joke was the absurdity of how he would explain it to a child and how he'd do a bad job of it. No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with explaining it to a child. He wasn't explaining anything. He was like giving his condolences to children of his dead friend, saying, your father was a great woman. Oh boy, here we go again. All right, I'm moving on. I'm not going to keep going over the same thing over and over.